welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, aka Reaper Miniatures in the chat, and absentee dog Kiki. What can I say? She's like growing up, guys. She's like growing up. Like, she doesn't want to play the treat game on the bed at night before she goes in her crate. She's just like, you humans stay up too late, and I'm going to bed. It's really funny. David is so disappointed. Because he used to love to play treat game with her. We put a treat in her hand and we make it dance and she pounces it and then she gets the treat. And now she's like, that's for puppies. Yeah. I think she's more adulting. She's getting more adulting at this point. She'll even go into her crate, like, and just lie down. Or, like, if I tell her to go in her crate because she's been an annoying idiot, then, you know, she'll go in there and she won't whine for like half an hour. So she's getting there. Slowly, the puppy becomes not a puppy. Hey, look, guys! It's Mouslings. Oh my gosh, there's a giant bird on my backboard. Or back fence. Oh, okay. I thought it was a hawk, but it was not. False alarm. False hawk alarm. She says I'm so over this. Yeah, exactly, Twisted Oma, exactly. Zachariah, thank you. 14 months. Sweet. Rare day off. Nice. Oh, all right. So we're going to do Wraith today. And I said that I was going to have it shift a bit. I'm thinking it's coming up from the bridge, right? Like, if it's based, this is based on the art for the Reapercon t-shirt for 2023. That's why the Reapercon Mousling. That's why we have, it's normally a human fighting a Wraith, but now it is a Mousling fighting a Mouse Wraith. And I love the Mouse Wraith so much. However, the Mouse Wraith having ears means that I really do need to probably make those phantom-y. So I'll have to think about what parts I want to be coming out of the phantom. And I think I want the bottom to be like a little bit like it's coming out of the stone. So I almost want to do the stone and then just do a little bit of glow and then a lot of glow. That's what I think. Yeah, these are really small. So let me get my little working plinth of doom here with my blue tack. Yeah, pretty much, Gary. Pretty much. Well, she used to love it because she loves things that move. She loves pouncing things that move. But yeah, you know, she's just getting to be a dog instead of a puppy. I told David, you wanted her to grow up. He's like, yeah, but I didn't think she'd stop the treat game. So it's funny. And I don't know, if I actually guessed, I think she'd actually rather stay out in the main room at night because it's cooler instead of going to her bedroom pen. I'm not going to put her in the bedroom without a pen because she'll be on our faces at 6 a.m. We know this from hotels. She is not yet, she may be getting older, but she has not yet achieved the respect for humans wake-up time. Which is why when I'm on the road with her, it's like stressful because I have to go to bed really early. And if I don't fall asleep right away, she still wakes me up early. So it can get annoying. But yeah. Yay, you can eat foods, Agent Marvel. I'm sorry that hit you so hard. Alrighty, so we got that smooshed. I'll smoosh up the bottom of the blue tack a little bit over the bottom of the base. There isn't much bottom of the lip of the base here, but I'll at least tap it, make sure it's solid. We'll actually orient him a little bit. That's actually a pretty good angle for him. I like to orient him on his block so that when I put him for the front of the top of the stream that you guys can see him. All right, Mousy. So we can do a couple of different phantasmal energies for ghosts. There's all sorts of them, actually. You could get away with almost anything. Probably not yellow because it tends to be a color of like more like good, right? And you really don't want to do like a pink. I mean, doing a red energy sounds cool until you realize you have to fade it out to pink. Then you've got Pink Mousling Ghost, which is not really awesome. Also, if you're going to do a glow effect at all from the ethereal energy, doing a red glow is actually the worst color you can choose. It's the hardest color to do. Because when red light falls on things, it tends to turn them black, gray, and pink. And that's all you've got. As opposed to when you use a yellow light source. Yellow is used as a highlight for many colors, and so it just makes them warmer and lighter. It doesn't make them gray, right? But if you throw red over a lot of stuff, it does gray it out or black it out. Agent Marvel has been sick, Pendrick. There is a bug or two going around right now. So anyway, so I would not do red. And so the usual ethereal energies that you see used are either a yellow-green, or a kind of blue-green, like Phantom Glow and Spectral Glow. There's a reason that those are that color. Thank you to Lord of the Rings for giving me permission to use teal as a ghost color. Or you can use, technically, if it's magic, purple can work. But it does imply, like, it's a little less undead-y, usually, to go purple. Yeah. I've got allergies like crazy going on. Quindy, take your pill. Hey, Dogfather. Yeah. Yeah, the flu shot knocked me out a little bit. I actually got one for the first time this year. And yeah, it definitely made me feel like I had a cold for a day. But I did not get it at the same time as other stuff. So, well, I got it at the same time as my tetanus shot, but tetanus shots just make your arm sore. So, all right. So that said, you can also the last color you can go with. So you can go yellow green. You can go kind of a tealy blue green or green blue. The last thing you can do is to go more of a lighter blue gray, more like a traditional ghost color. Lime green is the color of evil for most Disney films. And it is, and the concept art for this is green. So if you wanted to do that, I would say, what have I got? Yeah. And you want to go with a more saturated color. You don't want to go with something muted. Muted tends to be read as naturalistic. So you're probably looking in the moth green, dungeon slime, alchemical green. Alchemical is from Pathfinder. Kind of realm. Yeah, I'm having a lot of allergy stuff. Which means I should close my window. 1 second. Let me do that. Let me not actually... Oh, crap. I have to also... The roofing people never got back to me, so I have to pester them. Yep. I had to do that after my last surgery. It was very, very annoying. Okie dokie. So, if we go yellow-green, we go this color. If we go... I personally also love Phantom Glow for ghosts. We go that, we go this. I probably wouldn't go with the pale blue-gray on this one. I would want it to be more bright. So any preferences between the yellow-greens and the greeny blues as far as the ghost color, the spirit energy color? Nice, Agent Marvel. Yeah, I need to get them out here to fix the leak. Greeny blue. Go with the Phantom. Maybe I'll highlight it with a little bit of Dungeon Slime, and we'll split the difference. Yeah, everybody wants Phantom Glow. All right, cool. I happen to love Phantom Glow as a ghosty color. No, I wouldn't want to mix them. We might get unpredictable pigment interactions, Pendrake, depending on what we're working with. Generally choose one or the other, and if I want to, I can just add a few touches of this in a glaze at the highest points. But usually, the thing is that usually this is going to be your shadow, and you're going to go up to white from here. In fact, I probably will underpaint all of the phantom-y parts just to get it to go on really bright over this gray. I could have primed these, but I wasn't thinking about the phantom aspect of it, so at the time. So I will do that. I'm going to mix up some pure white, and then I'm going to decide where. And I think what we're going to do is make the phantom energy all phantom-y, and then. Oh, did I really miss a mold line there? Seriously, folks, seriously. There was an armor panel, and then I totally missed that this is actually not supposed to be here. But so I'm thinking that all of this energy viscous stuff is actually energy. I may have it fade into, like at the edges of the hood and the armor here. I'll have the light fade into that area. We'll do the ears there, and I probably will do the face as a skull, but I'll put some hints of the turquoise in it as well. So anything physical and corporeal, we will actually paint physical and corporeal, but we'll have some of that energy leaking into it. In fact, I may just do all of the highlights in Phantom Glow plus white. That would be one way to do this. So, we're doing the Reapercon Mousling Mini. We're doing spooky stuff, Kodiak, because it's Halloween. Or it's October anyway. And lots of the minis from Reapercon were spooky this year. So, thus, what I'm trying to do. Pop this over here, get this white going on. So essentially just putting a color like Phantom Glow, really bright light color, tends to be even brighter if you put it over white or do a little bit of underpainting. So I am going to do that. I'm going to get my 4 drops of white, 1 drop of water, and sketch this in. You don't really need to, though. I mean, it's Bones USA Pendrick, so I don't need to use white primer. I can use white paint, which, honestly, white paint covers better. Because the primer has, like, other stuff in it. It's not, its purpose isn't to be a white paint. The brush on, I mean. But trying to paint or do sketch with the white primer is less than optimal just because of that. It's not quite the same as white paint. Yeah, about like that. There. So I just want to lighten this area a bit to put on my bright colors. Spooky coffee. But yeah, that's why I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's valid. You could just prime that area, but with the I usually don't prime on the bones just because it's my habit. Like, I had to stop and realize that the Bloodbeard guy that we're going to be turning into a vampire, that's tomorrow's mini. Since he's a 3D print, I do need to prime him. Can't just. I thought he was Bones USA at first until I got him out of the blister and saw all the supports, and then I was like, oh, but that's fine because I have to prime Ed anyway. I need to finish cleaning off Ed today and prime both of them. But with Bones USA, I mean, yeah, you can prime the sidecast. I'm just in such the habit with Bones, no matter what it is, to just like, and all of my paint jobs on the sidecast that I haven't primed have actually turned out just fine. So essentially, I don't feel like putting an extra step in if I don't have to. Sorry, I've got this little tiny bit of, and that's the problem with the Bones and the sidecast, is it tends to give you these little threads that are really annoying to scrape off. I want to pill up. And then you're like, grr, if you're like me. I'm going to give it up, and I'm going to go and grab my files. Sometimes you must, or at least it makes it easier. So tiny diamond file, tiny diamond file. Oh, you're going to do green skin? Yeah. A la Wicked. Okay, so let's get this over here. Sometimes, if you need to take off one of those little pilling up strands, doing a file is really the answer. Let you grab the edge of that and pull it off. with a little more control. I don't need to get into the angle. Get into the angle with the knife as much. This one is fighting me. There it is. There we are. Just have a little bit sitting there. There. I forget what the pinion nut coffee for Santa Fe. I had it when we were staying up there. And they definitely use their local stuff. Cafe Du Monde. And chicory. Yeah, makes sense. Alright, so I'm just going to start with the areas that I know are very glowy. Glowy. And I did thin this just a little bit more so I can kind of... I'll just sketch it in, blend it in as we get to the bottom. And I'm going to leave a bit of gray at the bottom because I want it to look like it's kind of sweeping up out of the stones. I didn't do any painting last night because I came home after a very hard CrossFit. Sometimes the CrossFit workouts, like... they're almost vomit-inducing. Not quite. Almost. Like, there was definitely a point where I was like, I shouldn't have had that last sip of water. I had to stop and breathe for a few minutes. And the stupid thing is that the worst workouts are the simplest ones. Like, you walk in and you look at the board, and there isn't a lot of stuff on it, and you're like, oh, it's going to be a simple workout today. It'll be easy. It's actually the opposite. You drink it black. Oh, boxes, yeah. Well, I can't do boxes right now because I ripped a muscle in my calf, Slayer, so I'm exempt. So I have to do step on boxes. But yeah, boxes can totally get you there. Like, I do hate boxes. Box jumps are the worst. Like, almost worse than, I think they're worse than wall balls. And I don't like wall balls either. Because, like, when you have wall balls, you never have just a few wall balls. You've got, like, 90 over the course of the workout. And 90 wall balls is too many. Essentially, you've got a wooden box, Pendrake, and it's usually about, it's above your knee height, I would say. And you have to jump up onto it from a standing position in front of it. And you have to do that multiple times. Many, many multiple times. So that's box jumps. It sounds like, it would be fine. And it would be fine if you only had to do, like, 3. But you never have to do just 3. I actually, I have to use the baby boxes when I do at Kodiak because I cannot actually jump. Like, white girls can't jump. Seriously. I would lose my balance. Like, that's part of why I started CrossFit. Because as you get older, if you don't do strength training, your balance tends to suffer. And that's how we all break hips when we get older. So... yeah, and I definitely, I used to have really good balance as a kid. Like, when I did horseback riding, my instructor was like, you have really good balance, because I wouldn't get bucked off. Like, I could stick on, I had a horse try to buck me off, and it did not succeed, even though I was a newbie rider. But now, I definitely notice that my balance is not what it used to be. So, that's why I started CrossFit, but yeah, there are things I definitely have to compensate for. Because I'm just not there yet. Let's get this a little bit more. Yeah, my joints seem to be pretty okay. When I was working at Reaper, my hip joints were kind of shot, but I actually recovered over time. It was just standing all day. Like, I had bursitis in one hip. But, so I do a lower box jump normally. But yeah, they're really annoying, Pendrake. Trust us. Trust us. Used to be really good at box jumps. It's not your, it's hard to describe. It's not your knees because you're not, I mean, you're landing, but you're not like jumping way up and landing with a slam on the box, right? You're just jumping up to the box. So I actually find it like you're landing kind of in a half crouch, like, but I didn't find that it was knee impactful. Because you're using mostly, when you're jumping, ideally you're not like necessarily using a lot of your knee to jump. You're using your core muscles, your butt and your thighs and stuff that's higher. But yeah, the landing isn't the hard part. I don't know. It's that explosive unwind in the when you're doing the jump. You have to really, really use those muscles. So it's good for core work, but it is hard and it's obnoxious. Last night looked deceptively easy. Last night was a 400-meter run, which I had to bike for because they're compensating for my calf. And then you would come back after your run or your bike. And then you had to do... Oh, what was it? I always get all the weights movements mixed up, but you had to essentially get the barbell from the floor to your rack, to your front rack, and then you had to do a push jerk press at the top of it, and you had to do 6, and the weight was supposed to be moderate to heavy, and then you had to go out and do that again, do 5 rounds of that, do the run, and then come back and do 6 moderate to heavy weight lifts. You can break. We weren't cycling or anything. We weren't cycling them. But at the end of that, you are going to be... Okay, some people like have easier time on either side, but neither was particularly easy for me. And it was definitely a point where I had to stop and just breathe. Yeah, clean and jerk. Thank you. Yeah, that's what it was. Because the clean is getting it to the rack, right? And then the jerk is the press. Dogfather. And you're landing on that press like you're doing kind of a quarter squat to get the weights up. Yeah, I actually had to lower my weight, Airwiz. I had 55 pounds on it, and I had to go down to 45. Although, you know what, guys? What really blows my mind is, like, I've been doing CrossFit now since a little bit after my birthday. So, like, end of June is when I joined. And I can now... lift a barbell above my head repeatedly that is as heavy as most of the paint buckets I used to lift at Reaper. Whenever I think of this, it blows my mind. I would never, ever... Yeah, it's like landing with a deep knee bend and then standing up straight from that jump and crouch. Yeah, you got it, Twisted Oma. Except you don't have to get a real deep knee bend, so. Yeah, standing desks are great. Yeah, I need a pad again. I had a pad at Reaper, and but it got so full of paint, I left it for the next paint department person. I had a nice one. But I probably should get one for my standing desk here, because there isn't a lot of padding on the carpet here. All right, so I'm just pretty much going to use these, and you can see how I'm kind of letting it break up as I get lower, because I want a little bit more of a shadow as I get lower. I want it to be blending in a little bit more and fading out. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, Critico, that I think about hefting those heavy Reaper paint buckets. That's 5-gallon buckets, by the way. So the minimum weight you usually have in a 5-gallon bucket is 45 pounds. That's for the really light ones. And the titanium white, I'm not quite there yet, because that was heavy. CrossFit's point, Pendrake, is to get you a fully functional body so that you can have a higher quality of life as you get older. or as you just go through your day if you're really young. It's just good for everybody. And even though I describe these things, keep in mind that there are modifications for each of them. So like if you really can't do the whole standing crouching thing when you're doing like the cleans, you would do it on sitting on a box, for example, instead. Or do other stuff like that. So, but I mean, the goal isn't not to break you, even though these sound really hard when I'm describing them. And if you do them at the top level, they are really hard. But everything is modified. And really the point is to get you back to the point where you can do all, because a lot of this stuff is functional movements, you know, like you've got a car and you're trying to load up for vacation and you've got a big, you know, you're trying to shove things up onto the rack above your car, right? So you're trying to lift a heavy weight above your head, stuff like that. So, and our coach is really, the owner of this place is really into that. He's really into functional movements. He actually doesn't do some of the movements that he considers just non-functional, like the one where you put the barbell on your back rack, you know, behind your neck and do the squats. We do not do that because he has personally found that, one, it's higher risk of injury, and two, it doesn't really duplicate any movement you would do in your life. When would you ever put something behind your neck to lift it? So he's very, very about the functional. And so if someone like you, if you enter the class, you would essentially just get modifications that would slowly build up your strength. Yeah, no, my instructor is tops. He's awesome. He used to do CrossFit games when he was a youngster. So he was hardcore when he was younger. Yeah, I mean, weight machines might be a good way to start out, Pendrake. Because that lets you control the movement. Now, on the other hand, what it doesn't do is it doesn't work your stabilizer muscles, right? Because the machine is stabilizing for you. So you're only going to get a targeted muscle group instead of getting more of a workout across your body. And I kind of understood that. I used to love weight machines, but now that I've actually gotten familiar with the free weights, I really like them. I understand more like what they give me as opposed to what a weight machine gives me. But when you're starting, having that limitation while you slowly build up a little bit might help. On the other hand, core strength is so important for everything, and that's usually what those weight machines are missing out on. That's usually what you're not doing with that. Yeah, it very much depends, and that's why I went to the intro with this guy, and right away from his beginning speech, he's all about functionality. He's essentially talking about his parents who, you know, he's just like, he's always kind of like, come on, Mom, come on, Dad, let's, you know, they're like, we're in fine shape, but getting up from a chair makes them huff and puff, you know, and so he's just like, that drives him to like, you know, help. His parents are not receptive, but he helps the rest of us who don't want to be in that situation, right? It's like, there are things in aging that are not optional, but there are also things that are, I guess, is his philosophy. And so he wants to set us up to be able to do everything we want to do for as long as we possibly can in this life. And I love him. He's great. Tim Dimmel is his name. But yeah, I love his function. I love his functionality stuff. There's another guy in the class before me who broke his, or didn't break, he twisted his ankle, sprained his ankle. So he's also doing like bike instead of running. And we have another guy who's recovering from ankle surgery, and he was doing the rowing machine instead. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we do kettlebells, but not we go back and forth. Like he cycles a fair amount. Yeah, chair exercise, Pendrake. Like Inara says, it sounds easy, but yeah, but if you're starting from really low energy and, you know, if you're overweight or you're just like suffering from other things that would hinder you, chair exercise cannot be like, don't look down on it. It's a thing. And that lets you at least get, you know, part of you, like your upper body and your upper core, like engaged. I was surprised when I started that my upper body was actually stronger than my lower body. I would have bet it would be the opposite. But I was wrong. All right, so we're getting up here. Now here's where we're going to be kind of fighting reality, because of course there's a shadow here. There's a natural shadow. So painting the whole area as if it glows is, you know, we're not going to be able to really fight that shadow. But we can put the color there. And we can actually darken our glowy color there a little bit, just because. Oh, the blisters, yeah. Yeah, I walk. I do still walk. I've been giving my body a break to try to make it heal faster, because I kept pissing it off. I would be like, I feel good, and then I would do something and it would essentially hurt me again. Reopen the problem. So I've been a very good girl for about a week. But I'm going crazy not having my walking routine, so I've been letting myself have short walks, but the trouble is now, though, that when I walk, I really want to run, because I had gotten into the habit of doing my walk and jog, and I really enjoy it. So I have to watch it, because that's Anne being the dumbass, is pretty much that will reopen. My calf will not like me at all if I try that. So. No, you just put a fan in front of it. Rowing is hard work, and it does work your whole body. But really, I mean, if you're not moving, then anything you can do to move is good. Anything that won't hurt you. So my latest self-help book, because, you know, I love my self-help books because I'm trying to help myself a lot. I need a lot of help, guys. Is kind of a mind trip, because it's written by a PhD in, like, I just got in psychology and behavioral psychology and all that. But she's also a Wiccan, and it comes through a lot in the book, and it's quite the trip. It's quite the trip. I'm gonna have to see. But it's a really weird book. It's a really weird book, but it may have cured a lot of my stress eating. We'll see. I'm going to give it some time here to see if it really cured my stress eating, or at least the majority of my stress eating. Pool running. Oh, God. But just the idea of, like, getting in a swimming pool every time I want to work out is actually abhorrent to me. If I had a pool, it would be different, but I don't have a pool, and so that's just, like, out. Like, I don't enjoy it enough to do that side. You broke your hubby. Oh, no, Airwiz. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely recover. You never want to exercise when you're sick. I agree. Euro. Yeah, nice, Dogfather. Yeah. So here we have some energy that's actually creeping up into the shoulder pad here. It's actually sculpted that way. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go with that, and we're gonna make sure that our white goes up into that. I almost got my underpaint, and then we'll start with our Phantom-y color. I think I want to make his ears ghostly. They kind of have to be. He's otherwise skeletal. But obviously he still wanted to hear things. So we'll give his ears the glowy treatment. And I'm going to make his face different. I think. I don't know. I have to see what looks right. The problem, if the ears weren't here, it'd be really easy to do the face just as a skull. But because the ears are here, we do have phantom energy up here, so then, you know, you kind of want to make the skull the same color. So I guess I'm going to just kind of see how it looks. Oh, like garden tiller? You can run in the pool without assistance. Pickle and mustard sandwich. I always do grilled cheese. Like when I get in, when I'm starting to ease back, because I get the whitest white bread because it's really just, you know, sugars, simple sugars. And then I do my grilled cheese. If I've been sick, where I can't eat solids. It's that and like fried egg sandwiches as I start throwing more protein in there. Same thing. Grilled cheese with a fried egg on it. That's what eased me back in last time. And then soup, usually. It's a pain, though. Oh, the tiller, yeah. I kind of want to aerate our lawn. I wonder if they sell or they rent aerators. All right, so we're going to get some spirity, ghostly energy coming up over there. All right, let's actually throw a base coat on this. It's still a little bit gray, but it's whiter than it was, so it's going to be better. Yeah, I don't know about the pickle sandwich. Not my thing. I like to have protein these days. It's very low calorie, though, because the pickles and mustard are essentially no calories, and the only thing you're getting is the carbs from the bread and protein from the bread if the bread has protein. So if you're trying to lower your calories, that's pretty low calorie. Oh, clover. Yeah, I want to reseed. So you used a tiller and then you would sow your clover seeds essentially, Crowley. Are you doing that in the fall? Because I read that I read I should do it in the spring, but you're probably in a different climate than I am. Because we're gonna throw white clover into our lawn, but maybe I should get a tiller. Oh, wisdom teeth. I'm sorry, Cornico. Just tell the tooth you're not wise enough to have it yet, and maybe it'll go away. It didn't work for me either. Yeah, that's the plan. Still need to smooth out the yard. Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe I should get... I didn't know you could rent tillers from Home Depot. Maybe I should go over to my local Home Depot and ask them what sort of equipment for breaking up my lawn so that I can reseed. They can rent me. That would be... I would be happy about that. All right, cool. That's white enough. Phantom blow it is. Oh, yuck. Yeah. But yeah, our yard is frustrating. And the clover will resist Kiki's pee, so... Actually, the big park right down by our school, I noticed has mixed clover and grass as well. 40 bucks for 4 hours, 60 for the day. Okay, cool. Thanks, Crowley. Yeah, because the problem is the soil is so hard in our yard. The only problem is we've got a sprinkler system, so I need to figure out where those cables are. To ask the lawn guy. Really don't want to use our lawn service for that because I feel like he would charge us a lot and I could probably do it myself. But he also is the one who put in our sprinklers. Yes, you can plant in fall. Interesting. Yeah, I'd have to do it when it was warmer still, I think, because I think that I don't remember the germination range. Maybe it's down to 50 degrees, though. You probably know because you're about to do it. Germination range for... Are you using white clover? So we're just going to paint our phantom glow over the top of this white bit. And it's going to be a... keep it a brighter color than it would have been otherwise. And we're going to bring up our highlights once we get this coat down. And I switched to my Reaper Zero here because it'll be a fast base coat brush. It's a little bit of a fatter brush. Red, white, and crimson. Interesting. Requires them to break your jaw. They can't just explode the teeth. Mine exploded my teeth. It's not controversial. I used to like bread and butter pickles, but these days I like dills better. When I was a kid, though, I had a huge sweet tooth. I still have a sweet tooth, but it's getting to the... I don't know. I haven't enjoyed sweet pickles as much lately. But then again, I don't ever have them on hamburgers and stuff like that. Like I used to. So yeah, I'm with you, Dogfather. I get it. Oh, interesting. That's cool, Crowley. That your wisdom teeth worked as intended. You're one of the only people I've ever talked to whose wisdom teeth worked as intended. Bloop. Bloop. And I can be messy because I haven't painted anything else, so don't worry about getting your phantom glow on other areas of the model. You'll be painting over them anyway. Dentist's exact words, oh, these are complicated. Great. Pickle beer. Yeah, Texas has way too many weird beers. Although the strawberry cream stout that I got once was pretty darn good. Wow. Yeah, it's weird how your teeth, because your teeth can get weak from if you grind your jaw at night, right? If you grind your teeth, and then the weirdest thing will break your tooth. Really, that's weirder was because they left me my top ones and took out the bottom ones. They said the top weren't a problem. Probably just depends on the dentist, right? We always forget that our healthcare professionals have biases also. If you're intrigued by weird beers, then you just need to go to, like, a beer store while in Texas. Somewhere that carries a lot of the local craft beers. They're always experimenting, like always experimenting with the weirdest crap. I can imagine maybe a pickle IPA, but I dislike IPAs. So I think I would dislike a pickle IPA. And that's the only type of beer that I can think of that pickle would work okay with. Oh, your dentist is correct. Wow. I'm sorry about that, Kerniko. You probably... I hate to think you're probably going to have to go for it eventually if they keep getting worse. There definitely comes a point when the pain of the broken jaw recovery might be exceeded by the pain of the wisdom teeth. But I understand how scary that is. That would scare the crap out of me. It's like, wait, you want to break an intentionally whole area of my body? What? Yeah, I'm there. I feel you. Can't blame you. I would put it off too. All right, nice. That looks out. Look how bright that looks. Oh yeah, now we need the ears. We need our bright spectral ears. But see what I mean? How now that we've got all this, you get that feeling where you really want to make the face at least partially this color as well. Because it's so close to the ears, right? Otherwise, it's going to feel like the face isn't part of these ears. That is the problem. And the ears can't be bone because ears are not bone. I mean, the ears, don't get me wrong, the ears had to be here or it wouldn't be as obviously a Mousling. Oh, missed a mold line. Yeah, craft breweries have the best beer names. Plus so salty. Yeah, I agree. When surgery is the first thing that gets suggested, for one thing, take a close look at your doctor at that point. The best surgeon I ever had was the surgeon who was essentially like, okay, we're going to like look at this in a way and try not to get you in surgery unless there's no other answer. Like, that's the best surgeon right there. And that was a surgeon. Her money came from me. Like, her money came from doing surgery. But she was like, you don't want to go there unless you absolutely have to. Our goal is to keep you out of surgery. So I take my cue from her now in dealing with stuff. It's like, you should never be looking to do crazy stuff to me. Unless there is no other answer. Honestly, if I had to have a surgery or somebody thought that I had to have a surgery, I might fly all the way back to Texas to see my old doc and get a second opinion. She's a pro. And she's a private practitioner now, so I could actually still use her. She would be out of network, but... Pickled cauliflower is good. People don't give it enough credit. We have a local barbecue place that, for vegetables, it gives you pickled vegetables. All right, I am going to do part of the face. I think I might have to do all of the face. I didn't want to. Maybe I can do the lower jaw as different. I don't know, but I've got to at least get a little bit of this energy in here. Like around the eyes. Is that going to be enough? I think I still need to do the forehead also. Like, I need to do the part of the ghost that's coming out of the hood. You need to get a little bit of that Just a little bit of that color. And then we can go to full bone when we get to the teeth. But I want to make kind of a edge of energy here. And see if that's going to be good enough. I want parts of it to be coming out of etherealness into corporeality, and I'm going to do that with pretty much all of the sharply sculpted parts. Kodiak. So the blue-green is our ethereal color. We're just getting it blocked in and figuring out where I absolutely need it. I would normally have done the face as a skull, but because of the ears and the implication that then the head is corporeal, I have to at least do part of the head as corporeal. So we'll see. I'll probably do it solidly this color where I'm painting right now around the eyes and around the edge of the face. I'll paint the mouth as bone, and then I'll essentially highlight it with this color. Oh, yuck. I'm not a big peach fan to begin with, and pickled just sounds worse. I do like pickled carrots. We have a jar of those. Alrighty, so we've got our first layer of ghosties. First layer of ghosties is here. I think I've gotten all the parts. Yes, these are... Mouslings were created by Gene Trash, so in general, always expect a Mousling to be sculpted by Gene. It's his thing. Oh, I missed a sleeve. Missed a sleeve part. There is a little bit of cloth coming down here. But yeah, parts of the mouse, like the hands, will be bone colored. So oh, did he? He sculpted the Dark Sword Tronky Goblins? Oh, yeah, the Japanese radish. But, I mean, they know how to do pickled veggies. I eat Asian cultures in general. I eat kimchi part of my lunch is always kimchi. David hates it. He, hates the smell. He can't get past it. But, of course, that's also pickled fermented, so... Yeah, I saw that. It looked like a lot, actually, Pendrake, when I read the article yesterday, it looked like a lot of the strikers were not, they were not like nurses and stuff. They were more on the outskirts, more like support personnel were striking. Like x-ray technicians and stuff like that. So yeah, part of the infrastructure has definitely been taken out. But I think that most the doctors and nurses actually did not strike. Oh, they won't send them. Yeah, because Dark Sword. I don't know why Jim doesn't ship to Europe. I don't remember. I mean, to be fair, though, I mean, Reaper had a real hard time shipping to Europe until we got our hub. Jim should just reach out to Reaper and ask if he can use our fulfillment services. Reaper should just offer fulfillment services. The back of this ear is very sharp. When I shaved the edge of that mold line off, I didn't smooth it. So I need to take a little more off. There. We're very glowy green. It's picking up this as a super bright color on camera, which I appreciate. All right, now we're gonna get a highlight mixed up for this. And we could, okay, so you might be tempted to paint the inner parts white and the outer parts not, because if it's truly glowing, that would be the way that you would go. However, it can be easy to make it really not look right that way and not bring out the details that you want. So I tend to paint it traditionally, even though I'm suggesting that it is like glowy material. So instead I'll be like, it's ectoplasm. It's not really glowing. It might be subtly glowing, but it's not super glowing, right? Just want to make sure I've got a nice solid coat on this. It's just, you can't really make it work in this. He's leaning over, he's casting natural shadows. The only way, ideally, like, it works with fire if you don't have too many interior recessed areas. When you've got areas that are sculpted really recessed, though, Kodiak, essentially you're going to get shadows that are being cast over your white areas. That's why painting something like it's glowing, unless it's a particular type of sculpt, can be very difficult. It's why people like to paint glowing sword blades, glowing globes. What do those things have in common? They're smooth areas that don't cast much shadow. So you're able to convincingly make them look glowy. But once you get something complicated, like a lot of cloth with folds and a figure that's bending over, your glow effect illusion goes right out the window. So it's better just not to attempt it, in my opinion. Does that make sense? If this was a very flat ghost, you could do it. Like if it was a really just like a specter where it didn't really cast any really dark shadows, you could do that inside out kind of lighting. But the same rules that I always talk about with OSL in general apply to this figure for sure. And when you've got all this, you can see the shadow. That painting that white is going to be a real hard sell when people were looking at the model. So yeah, so we'll now mix up a highlight for this. I'm just going to pretty much, and I mean, when you're doing a spectral entity, don't get crazy with it, just add pure white. I wouldn't even add any off-white because a lot of off-whites have gray in them and you really want this to come up bright. So I may just grab a big blob of this and throw it into my white. The magic for this on this model really comes once we've got all the spectral stuff done and we paint our other stuff, and then we start working the spectral energy across the border in between the two and start making the fading effects. That's when this gets fun. Switching back to a smaller brush. And deciding whether I'm going to go a little bit. This seems to work. So I want something that's going to leave a little bit of brush stroke. so that I can suggest the tendrils of energy coming down through the body. And I'll accentuate this kind of effect as I build up layers. But anything to further focus on the flowing kind of movement of the sculpt. It's hard to see unless you get really, really close, but you can see the brush strokes I'm leaving. I think this is about a 3-to-1-ish paint to water. So I shot my wet blending miniature painting fundamentals video yesterday, and boy, there's a lot to unpack with that technique. We'll see how long the video ends up after editing. And I'm got my outline for the PDF, and it's just like when you start talking about wet into wet blending, like there's just so much to talk about. I think doing the companion PDFs for these fundamentals video is actually a good idea on my part, because like there's stuff I just can't put in the video, but that's good for troubleshooting. And in truth, I probably need to make the video shorter even than it is, but because I definitely went down a couple of bunny holes. I'm probably going to end up editing some of that out. But this is only the $2 and the free tier, so it's like I always have to remind myself not to go into everything I can think of on those tiers. So we're just getting those highlights in. So you can see I did leave that gray back there, and you can see how even though I put the same base coat on it, how this area is darker than like, and this is a brighter, more saturated aqua because I left that gray underpaint there. So yeah, the effect that we're really looking for is less ghostly translucence and more like ectoplasmy. And again, I'm leaving some texture where I can. I'm not just painting this solid. I'm trying to use my brush strokes to accentuate the details. Or if there are no details, I don't paint it flat. I'm going to paint it with some suggestion as to the movement of the material. Except they're really not, Pendrake, because I'm not in charge anymore. Also, I wouldn't do, like, honestly, we have enough. We have enough yellow greens at this point. Moth green, alchemical green, dungeon slime. We have a lot of yellow greens. Leaf bud green for those who want something more muted. So ectoplasm green would never happen because I wouldn't need it. I've got enough greens. Oh, did you guys have something to distract me with and then purposefully waited until later in the stream to do so? How considerate. Dungeon Slime is a very saturated green. So, like, the best thing to do with Dungeon Slime is to use it as highlights for other green spots. But for pretty vibrant greens. It does go really well with Icy Violet. And I'll probably use it to highlight the leaves on the pumpkin in our witch that uses Icy Violet. So you got a little bit of highlighting up there. I don't remember what moot green color, what color moot green is. Probably either, depending on how blue you want it, either Nightmare, black, or do you, by shiny, are you painting it like NMM, like you want to use the paint itself to give the illusion of shine, or do you want to put a gloss over it in Aura? Or do you want to do metallic? Oh, moth green. Yeah. Moth is very transparent, and the thing butts is that moth is very, very close to Dungeon Slime. So you really have to start a bit darker than moth. Like you could use either moth or Dungeon Slime. Like they're very close. And realistic. Yeah, use you're gonna need to do really, really, really small highlights. Keep them really narrow, really tiny. Focus on exactly like the point where the light would really be hitting. So you really need to figure out your light direction and keep it consistent. Do real thin white highlights, glaze over them. Paint the whole thing blue-black to begin with. You can either use blue liner, or you can use Nightmare, or you can mix them together. Nightmare is going to give you a lot more blue feel. Yeah, it's probably just that they're too close and you need to shade them like it's like a one or the other thing. Because if you've already got, essentially if you're looking at them both on the grayscale butts, it's just, they're going to be really close. If it's like moth green versus dungeon. Hi there, Kiki. Oh, the Kiki has emerged. You still have, no Keekers, you still have 20 minutes to wait. Big fluffy boost. Hi, you big beast. You gigantic beast. But like, so if I look, I think probably Dungeon Slime is like a value 9. Like really close. Maybe a value 8. But if all of the paints that you're using are between a value 8, value, like this isn't enough for it to be a highlight, essentially. Salutations, Finisher Stand. Yeah, Kiki just stuck her snout in, but she didn't want to jump up on my leg and say hi to y'all. So when you're highlighting something, you want it really to be 2 steps on the grayscale, or 1.5 at least. So essentially what I'm suspecting, not knowing what moot green really is that it's just too close, and so they're not working as highlight and shadow. We doing okay. Miniature Stand. It's getting hot over here again. Going to be 84 today, Fahrenheit. Beautiful people and ugly ones. Well, you know. Hey, my stream does not immediately go south just because Luca stuck his snout into the chat. Like, it just starts to angle that way. But yeah, so essentially if you're trying to highlight a color with another color that's not light enough, you're not going to get, it's not going to work, Butts. So color wheel grayscale. If you, I don't know if you're a patron of mine, Butts, but I have done a thing on the grayscale and how to use it for my Patreon. So if you're in there, go looking for that PDF. I think I did it for the $5 tier. But yeah, if you double check yourself with the grayscale, it's another way to troubleshoot when you're not having success. Just make sure there's enough difference between your colors. I would expect you to be weirder, Luca. But then again, if you claimed any extreme, anything extreme, I would be dubious. All right, so we're just like getting some highlight on here. Yeah, things, stuff. Yeah, Luca's just gonna take anything I say like dirty, so I've stopped trying to avoid. It gets worse if you stop trying. Like if you try to avoid like saying anything that has connotations, it just actually gets worse. So I've given in. I've given in. So yeah, folks, so we're just going to kind of get into blocking in here today. We're not going to make a ton of progress, but we will at least get our mousy looking very very bright. Very glorified. I may yet decide to make the whole head. But the problem is if I make the whole head glowy, then I kind of want to make the hands glowy, and the hands just don't look like they're going to be glowy. So I'm not into that. So yeah, I may need to take these wraps here though. I don't know if they're wraps or if they're meant to be more glowy energy. So this mouse. It turns out this mouse is a little bit more persnickety than I thought it was. The easy way to paint this, guys, would be to paint the whole thing just in the Phantom Glow and then just highlight. Do I have my... I had a... oh, yeah, I do. And the way to do that is... I did a quick one. So you could do it like this. This is another one. I hadn't put him away. And I did a little bit of the Spirit Energy coming off the boards. This is a fast paint. Super fast, super quick paint. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Twisted Oma. We'll see. Once they aren't as dark, once I paint them bone, it's probably going to look better. But yeah, if you want to just paint the whole thing as Spectral Energy, you're going to do a lot of the same thing. This, by the way, Butts, is where I actually did use Dungeon Slime to highlight Phantom Glow. So the base here, I believe, is Phantom or Spectral. And then I'm highlighting with white and including a bit of the Dungeon Slime to get that more greenish cast, you see? So that's like, if you're going to do, yeah, it is like, it's the same color. So there's the base. And you're just like, this was like, I swear, this is like a 10-minute paint. It was super fast. I was just like doing, yeah, right? But so we could just paint this guy all spectral. But unlike that guy who has like a bit of a pirate ship that he's coming up out of, this guy really doesn't have a base. So that's why I probably wouldn't do that. If you've got a nice base where you can still give some like real items to contrast with your spectral item, that's the best. If you're going to do it that way. But if you don't have that, then you could do... No, the base is Phantom Glow. There's a reason I made this color. For ghosts. There's a reason it's named that, eh, Roger? Pin it. Pin it, Delta. If the model is not... What's up, Kiki? Oh, she's opening the door. What do you have in your mouth? Oh, okay. Nothing. Do you want to come up and see Luca? He likes to see you. Yeah, there we go. There's my Kiki. There's my Kiker. Yay, good girl. Yay. Hi, Monster. Hi, Monster. Are you a monster too for Halloween? I don't even have to dress you up. I don't even have to dress you up. I don't. Oh. Oh, dear. She is a big fuzzy dinosaur. Hi, there. You want to get down? No. You climbed up here. You climbed up here. Ah! Getting attacked. Being attacked. All right, you dingo. The minute you start to eat my Fitbit is when the deal is off. Oh, there it is. There it is. The deal is off when the Fitbit is nommed. Hi, you big monster. All right, Peaks. I'll be off in 8 minutes, okay? We'll end the stream in 8 minutes, and then you'll have your walk. But Mama's still got to work. Work. Go settle for just a few minutes, Bubba. Just a few. You can settle here if you wanna. You're fine. Such a silly dog. Ah, such a silly dog. Alrighty. But yeah, so, sorry, last time mint green. Yeah. So this is a very, very intense, very saturated, light blue, green blue butts. So I don't know if there's a similar color in GW. They usually have pretty saturated colors though, so. Oh, I'm addicted to licorice mints lately. I love black licorice. And there is an excellent mint that is intensely licoricey with many fewer calories. So I've been leaning heavily on it. I know. More for me, Trash. More for me. I've loved black licorice since I was a little kid. But yeah, so let's talk about, when I say pinning, Delta, do you know what I'm talking about? This actually just happened to David. I can go fetch it in a second. Hold on. So this actually just happened to David that one of his Golden Demon entries actually snapped off on one leg because he was putting too much pressure on it. And he had to repin it. So he had to drive a pin. So Delta, do you know what I mean? First of all, do you know what I mean by pinning? Yep. I don't use paperclip. I actually prefer to use just a brass wire or brass rod. 20. I use 24 gauge with a 75 drill bit. But yeah, so that's really the way to do that is, here's my hand drill. I use very small drill bits because I haven't really found that I need anything more than this unless it's a huge model. If it's a really big model, then like a big dragon, then you probably gonna need to switch it up to this and a brass rod that's more firm than this. I don't use paper clips. You can use paper clips, Delta. Be aware, however, that many paper clips are spring steel, and if you try to clip them with a hobby clippers, you're likely to shatter or otherwise harm your clippers. So if you are going to use a paper clip, be sure to cut it with an actual wire cutter. But honestly, you don't need like that much. You just need some. But yeah, so on a base, I would drill up through the bottom of the base. Actually, I already gave that model to Ron, or I could show you. Crap. But essentially, I would drill up through the... Oh, actually, yeah, I do. Hold on. Oh, no, she's still on her base. So, all right, if I decide to take her off of her base... I would drill up through the base into the bottom of the foot. I would go at least like a couple millimeters into the foot, depending on the material. If the ankle was really thin and the material was plastic or resin or something else that's easy to drill, I would probably go up higher through the actual, fragile portion into the thicker portion above, if I could. When you're using a hand drill, be sure you're going in, but then you're pulling it out, you're backing it out gently. And clearing the threads of any stuff, because you can freeze it and snap it off in there. This is a hand drill slayer. It's a pin vise. It's called a pin vise. It is a hand tool. I have a very simple one. I used to have a fancier one, but I actually like this one better. Can't do links in the chat. Oh. Oh, Bubba. No, not really. I mean, I'm generally telling you, it doesn't really matter what model it is, Delta. If you've got what it comes down to is if you have a really thin thing that you need to pin, like just be real careful and go slow. And if you're just going to pin down into a plastic base, I'd honestly just drill up through the plastic base into the foot so that you can do it. If it's a slot base, then you're going to have to plug the slot and reposition the foot to be over a plastic area instead of the slot. But yeah. But at any rate, that's how you do it. I don't have the time to like tell you, like to show you everything. I have done pinning on stream before. I just don't remember what models we did. But you can also just drill up through the leg while you've got it off of the base, and then just drill down where you think it might go and put the pin in and glue it and go down. Yeah. I mean, David, his model snapped off at the ankle, so he actually had to sink a pin all the way up into the leg to get past that, to make sure the ankle was reinforced, and then down into the base. And it's a pain, but it really is the way to go to make sure your model stays in one piece. Oh yeah, Necro Kitty, maybe. Yeah, I tend not to like doing it. Like, I tend to, if I'm going to do a big base on a model, I would usually rather integrate part of the model's own base rather than pinning the foot down. Just because if I'm using cork is fairly fragile, and it's not a great pinning material. I usually have to reinforce it a lot. So, but if you're pinning the model into a plastic base or a piece of terrain that has more strength, then it really is the way to go. And these days, with so few of us working with metal, because metal is where you're not going to be able to drill up into that through that ankle. You're just not. You just really want to drill up into the foot and make sure that it's got a better connector. But yeah. I think maybe I haven't done a pinning video. Maybe you're right, Slayer. Maybe I should put that on my miniature painting fundamentals, huh? I'll make a note, Slayer. I'll make a note. Since I'm done with the painting fundamentals, and now I'm going in search of other topics. PF pinning. There we go. Ha ha, trash. Ha ha. Oh, and we're a minute away from handing everything over to Luca. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not a lost art, but a lot of people don't really talk about it these days, so I probably should do a pinning video. All right, we're gonna actually call it there because I don't want to get back into painting and trying to finish this, and then Luca has to wait around because he's actually here. Also, Kiki is like looking for things to chew that she oughtn't. But yeah, so I'll put pinning on the mini painting fundamentals. I can do that for next month. Yes. Oh, yep, here she is. Miss Jingly Collar herself. Miss Jingle Collar herself, yeah? Yeah, hi there, little Fluff. Giant Fluff. You're such a giant Fluff, oh my gosh. How do we get such a giant Fluff? When you came here, you were this big. Kiki says, enjoy your day, everybody. It's Wednesday. And, oh no, Quindy and Crowley. Bye, Crowley. Oh no, attack dog. And the attack dog says it's time to go. And I love you all, and thank you for coming in to the stream. And now I've got a dog in my lap, eating me. Hold on. All right, bye. I think, help. Ah!